Everybody, welcome back. I want to take a few minutes today and talk about my wood delivering truck. It's not much to look at, but it's got a few neat things on it I want to talk about and thought some people might find interesting. So yeah, let's look at it here and see what you think. So like I said, it ain't much to look at. It's just a old green truck. It's a 1980 model Chevrolet Custom Deluxe 20. My grandpa bought it new in probably 79 or 80, and he used it on the farm, on the dairy farm of his, for several years. I don't exactly know how long that he used it. He was always getting new trucks, so. But anyway, sometime in the early 90s, this truck had got pretty bad shape, and they just pretty much junked it out. I mean, it was just eat up with rust. It had an old wooden flatbed on it. It was completely rotten. It wasn't any good, and the fuel tank leaked. It had no brakes. About the only thing it had going for it is that it still ran, and it still moved. But I dug this truck out from its grave, basically, because I was about 12 years old and I was hauling hay with my grandpa's 92 pickup truck. Also a Chevrolet, 3/4 ton, but it was red and it just had a regular pickup bed on it. Well, I went to go pick up some round hay. Of course, being young and inexperienced, I drove up to the top of the field where the loader tractor was, and I loaded some round hay on it, on a wagon behind it, and I start down this steep hill, and there was no blocks or anything in front of the hay, and all of it rolled off the front of the trailer and smashed the tailgate and the bed on the truck. So I got banned from using that truck. So I wanted to keep hauling hay, even though I was doing it illegally, obviously, no driver's license. So this truck here was down in the field, and it was just, they were letting it sit down there and rot. So I asked them if I could get it out and try to get it going, and back then I didn't know much about mechanicking, but this right here is where I learned a whole lot about mechanicking. And I got it out. I got the brakes working, and I had no clue about brakes when I started working on this truck, but I got them working. I asked a lot of people for help and advice, but I did all the labor myself. But got that working, and for then, I just hooked it to a wagon and I started hauling hay. I had brakes. And I kept messing around until I got the radio to work. That was important. I got to have good music to haul hay, you know. So, yeah, so I just started driving this truck regularly when I was 12 years old. And I mean, it got to the point where I lived a couple miles from the farm, and I would drive it home. And then when I would get home from school, I would drive it back to the farm or whatever. On the weekends, I would drive it wherever I needed to go. And you know, we live in a place there's not really any police officers. We live on top of a mountain, and all the police stations and everything are down off below the mountain. But so that's how I got started with this truck. And you know, it was in really, really bad shape. Bad shape again. You can see the rust and stuff here, but when I got this truck, right here was as far as this fender would come down. It was eat off right here all the way across. You see it has inner fender wells. Yeah, it didn't have those when I got it. You could see in there in the engine, they were rusted out. The doors, they were rusted off to about right here. The floor pans, they were ate off to about right here. About half of them. You could see the ground. The heat worked good, but it all went out through the floorboard. And the frame was broke on the left side for a long time when I drove it. All the spring hangers were rotten on it. A lot of times the springs were just setting up against the old rotten bed. But that didn't bother me. I just kept on going. So
earlier, this truck, the frame was broken, and actually there wasn't any frame left behind the cab really. So I had a donor truck, and I cut the frame off right here behind. This is the back of the cab. This is the frame. I cut the frame off right behind the cab, and I cut a frame from another truck, and I reattached it to this truck. And this is where I plated it. This is a 1/2-inch steel plate that I put inside the frame, and I'd only welded it horizontally from recommendations from everyone I talked to, because I was only 15 years old when I did this. So, and I had to replace all the cab mounts because they were all rusted off. And so yeah, I pretty much rebuilt this whole truck, even the frame. And yeah, I got a few oil leaks, but anyway.
at about 2000, year 2000, I decided to restore this truck, which I had got another truck, a 92 Chevrolet diesel, 6.5 liter. And this one I wasn't driving as much, but I wanted to keep it. And well, even though it wasn't mine yet, but I decided to restore it. So I bought all the body panels. I bought some doors off a junkyard. I bought a flatbed to go on it, the steel one that's on it now. So, you know, I did all the body work myself, and I took it to have it painted, and the guy kind of laughed at me. He said, who done your body work? I said, I did. And he said, well, this ain't never going to be a show truck. I said, well, I don't want it to be a show truck. I want it to work with. I said, just paint the thing. So he did a little bit of Bondo work to it and stuff, but it looked pretty good when he got done, after he painted it. And that's the original color. I wanted it the original green color. I don't know why. I should have painted red. I like red vehicles, but I wanted to keep it original so I could call it the old green truck. But anyway, so several years later, when I started doing firewood and stuff, I started using this truck to do it. And there's a few little things about this truck that most trucks don't have. And one is, I've got this hay unroller on here, and I can carry 2 rolls of hay on the back of this truck. But the neat thing about this is I have live hydraulics with tractor quick couplers on this truck, and it's engine powered hydraulics. So you have 2 remotes here, just like a tractor, and I can unplug this. I can unplug these lines. I can take an air wrench and I can take out 4 bolts, 2 right there and 2 at the front of this thing, 1 here and 1 over there. And I could take a tractor or a skid steer and I could pick this hay unroller and set it off this truck in about 5 minutes or less. So that is one neat thing about this truck. The other is the hydraulics I was showing you. Let's go under the hood here. Sorry. Yeah, you don't even have to go into the cab to get to the hood. But you see this thing right here? That is an 8-gallon per minute Dewey's hydraulic pump. Actually, it's a Parker hydraulic pump, but it's a kit that I got from Dewey's. It come with a bracket to mount all this stuff to this. This is a 350 engine, but it has been bored and stroked, so they call it a 383, and it has double hump 350 horse heads on it that come off of a Corvette. So it runs pretty good most of the time, if you can keep it running. But anyway, back to the hydraulics. Here's the pump, and you can see a big suction line hooked to it, and then a pressure line. And they it draws fluid from a hydraulic tank that's right here. Got a filter. And this hydraulic tank my dad actually built for a truck that they had on their farm way back in the day. And he kept it when they got rid of the truck. So it ended up on this truck. But anyway, to operate this valve here, the hydraulic pump circulates the oil. And let's turn some light on. It circulates the oil back here to this thing. And it is an electric over hydraulic valve, and it circulates the oil through it. And then I can, with 2 switches in the cab, I can control oil. I can divert it to these hoses here, which go to the remotes on the truck. So I have 2 switches, one for each remote. And then after the oil goes through that valve, it goes back to the tank. So it just makes a circle, and it's a really simple system. And it works by, I get this question all the time. Well, does the pump stay on all the time while you're driving down the road? No, it don't. It works just like an air conditioning compressor. There's a switch right here that I turn the pump on with. Then I have this control box, and it used to be labeled what each function done, but they faded out. But you work these switches to work the remote valves on the back of this truck, and it works excellently. Hey, this is what you do to pick up a bale, but you open them up, obviously, and then you can squeeze a round bale, and then you can swing it around up onto the truck. You don't need a tractor to load this truck. This nice is this is where I hook up my trailer for my wood hauling. I just use this to, the trailer that I use is designed to be pulled with a tractor. So it has hoses on it with Pioneer quick connectors, and I just plug the trailer right into the truck, and I can dump it. And it also is handy, like if you need to go to a field and pick up a disc, you can go plug the disc in and raise it up, pull it home. Or I've used it to pick up my batwing bush hog and hook it to the truck, raise my batwing bush hog up, and then pull it down the roads, and then haul the tractor if I have a long ways to move it. So those are a couple of neat things about this truck, that these hydraulics really make it nice. I wish all my vehicles had hydraulics on them, to tell you the truth. It'd be nice. So back in my younger years though, when I redone this truck, I put this Sony head unit in. This truck did not have air conditioning, and I was learning how to work on air conditioning units and trying to learn about air conditioning, which I do a lot of air conditioning work now. I do all the air conditioning work on our own equipment, and I do some for other people, but I installed air conditioning in this truck. I had to redo everything in the dash. It didn't even have vents in the dash. I had to put the box on the outside, the box on the inside. I had to put this control unit in. I had to plumb all the vacuum lines to change it from floor to defrost to the dash vents. And yeah, that was an interesting project, but I got it to work you look behind the seat, you'll find something you probably wouldn't expect to be in here. Yeah, those are subwoofers. And yeah, that's a big amp over there. So, you know, I used to like to, and this actually aren't the ones that I had in here when I was younger. I actually had some in here that was in a whole lot bigger box. Those are 10s, I believe, and I had 12s in here. The only problem with those was you had to have the seat all the way forwards, and that was a pain in the butt, especially for my fat, you know what. Anyway, and got some smaller speakers in the corners, and got some tweeters up here in the side, and then I put some speakers in the doors. It didn't even have any speakers in the doors. As a matter of fact, the only speaker this truck had in it when I got it was right here. And then this is this in the windshield. I don't know if you can see it. There's 2 wires in the windshield. No, you can't see it. That's the antenna for the radio. It blows my mind, but it works. Oh, and I put these in here. You always had to have a gun with you, but you don't want them hanging in your back window for everybody to see, so I strapped mine to the ceiling. Oh, and in case you need to know what day it was in 2010, I had a calendar in here. I still have a calendar in here, obviously. But anyway, this isn't the original seat. It was so wore out. Yeah, this is a whole lot better seat than the one that was in it. Not nearly as worn out. But anyway, that's a little overview of this truck. This truck also has a PA system on it hooked into the CB, so you can yell at people that are crossing in front of you and scare the Jesus out of them. There's the air conditioning compressor. It did work, but I know that the Freon has leaked out of it over the years, and it's not working right now. But all I have to do is recharge it, and it would work again, I'm sure. It has rear work lights on top, which is really handy for delivering wood at night. And there's one back here on the back of the truck. And of course, it has a 2-inch receiver hitch. And it has a round 6 plug, but I made an adapter to hook it to a flat 7, which everything has on it now. So, yeah, and this right here makes a good place to throw your hitches when you got the hand roller on it. And there is a toolbox here for jumper cables and some small items, tools, straps. A good place to hang your grease gun on the headache rack. And yeah, this steering wheel come out of a Chevrolet Cavalier car, and the center of it is gone. It's in here somewhere. Oh, down there it is. But oh, there's a mag light rechargeable flashlight mounted to the dash, so you can grab it and beat the snot out of somebody if you need to. Well, that's not what they're really made for, I don't think, but it works pretty good for that. And oh, a funny story about this friggin' steering wheel. I was driving down the road one day, and there was a couple of guys standing at a trailer, or over here at a house trailer, and I kind of knew one of the guys, and I didn't know the other one. But anyway, I'm driving by with a load of wood, and I get about right there next to him, and I throw up my hand. By the time I'm going by, and all of a sudden the horn on this truck decides it's going to just start blowing. And I mean, it blowed, and it blowed, and it blowed, and I was beating on the steering wheel and jerked the cap off and threw it. That's why the cap's not on it no more, because I got tired of the horn just blowing while I was going down the road. But they were staring at me like, what in the heck is wrong with that guy? So anyway, it's just one of them things that happen. Back to this motor. This is the third motor I'm riding on, I believe. the first one that was in the truck was pretty weak, and it didn't ever quit on me, but I decided I wanted to rebuild it. And so I did. Well, I rebuilt a 400 small block out of another truck and put it in here, and the crankshaft broke in it about 5,000 miles later. So, and it wasn't a 4-bolt main motor. So I went back to the original motor and I sent it off to a guy locally here that does racing engines, and I had him stroke it, bore it and stroke it. And he sent me all the parts back in a box, and I put it back together myself. And so far I've had good luck with this engine, and so hopefully that will continue. It runs good, but anyway, occasionally have trouble with a cylinder going dead on it, but it's always a bad plug or a bad wire or something. But that's just normal. Has a monster transmission in it. It's got the Super Sport one, I believe they call it. It's designed for up to 900 horsepower, and that was the one that they recommended that I put in this truck. And I guess, I don't know why, because this truck probably only has about 350 horsepower, maybe 400. So I don't know. They said it was because I was pulling heavy loads with it. And it does have a gooseneck ball in it. I have pulled a lot of hay and stuff with it over the years, but most of the time all I do with it now is just pull firewood. See, there's where the gooseneck ball is, and it's been a long time since it's been hooked to a gooseneck. But anyway, I hope you enjoy my video on my truck. I guess you can tell I'm kind of passionate about this truck. It's been around, it's been in my life a long time. I've thought about selling it a couple different times, and my wife was like, you better not do it. You better not do it. And she's right. If I would have sold this truck, I would have been pretty sad. So anyway, thank y'all for watching me ramble on about my old piece of junk. And we'll see y'all in the next video, and thanks for watching. Please like this if you like me or my truck or my video, and I would greatly appreciate it. So see y'all next time.